Taylor Elwood here, and welcome to the latest episode of the Men's Mysteries podcast. Today, I want to share an essential skill with you that I've learned and that I've shared with my clients around how to face the anxiety in your life and build emotional and mental resilience. And the skill is absolutely essential to this journey. And it's something I don't see said enough of, but I think it's absolutely true. Now, skill goes hand in hand with practices such as breathing meditation and mindfulness, but it's a little bit different. It's a skill, really an ability, that involves leaning into your edge. So, what's the skill? It's the ability to do hard things. It's the skill of being able to lean into your edge and do something hard, knowing that it is going to challenge you. And here's the counterintuitive truth: men actually thrive on challenge. Men thrive when they are experiencing something hard because it gets them to dig in to their inner masculine essence and presence and pull that out. And they're not doing it from a place of performance, they're doing it from a place of presence. What I've noticed, however, is that for a lot of men in today's age, there's an abdication of that power, an abdication of taking responsibility for themselves and responsibility for how they show up in the world. And what happens is this keeps men really, really small. So instead of living a large, powerful life, they end up living a small life. Because what they're doing is they're letting their anxiety call the shots. They're letting their anxiety control them. And don't get me wrong, what I'm advocating for here isn't what so many men have heard. Things that I heard too, which is, don't show your emotions, push them down, man up. That's not going to help you with this. It never helped me. And I say that as someone who has lived with anxiety for pretty much all my life. I say it as someone who still deals with anxiety sometimes. What I found is that I needed to acknowledge and be aware of the emotion of anxiety. I didn't need to push it down or numb it or try to avoid it, which is what so many men do. Instead, what I found I needed to do was get really clear on how anxiety could be collaborated with and confronted and used as fuel to transform my approach to life. And this is what I walk my clients through as well, because a lot of times men with anxiety will spend their lives trying to avoid what makes them feel anxious until they get to a point where they realize, I have to do something about this, and I'm tired of being this way. I'm tired of letting something else call the shots. And here's an interesting thing to keep in mind too. What I found about anxious men is that anxious men are also nice guys. They're people-pleasing, codependent men trying to feel safe by making sure that other people are happy or that other people approve of them. But this doesn't work. If anything, it increases the anxiety that they feel because they know on some level that it's not really working. The person that they're with romantically ends up being angry at them all the time. They feel like they're walking on eggshells. They feel like they can't really be free. And what's happened is that they've basically put a cage around themselves. This is what happens with so many men. We put ourselves into cages to try and stay small, to try and fit in and get approval from other people. And it doesn't work. And there are lots of different practices out there for addressing anxiety. But what I see a lot of the time is that isn't offered is that sometimes the best way to handle anxiety is to go and do the hard thing. And yes, let me be clear, it isn't easy. If it was easy, you wouldn't be anxious about it. But doing the hard thing gives you an opportunity to come up against your edges. And this is where you can learn to take anxiety and turn it into a collaborative fuel that helps you transform your life. This is absolutely essential. I see a lot of men who aren't drawing upon that deep inner fueling. And so as a result, they are basically keeping themselves locked in because of the anxiety that they're feeling. And they're keeping themselves locked in because that feels safe. It feels like something that where they can know, like, oh, I can be safe, but it's not. It's actually keeping them from living their fullest life. And I'm gonna share a personal story here because this is a great way to demonstrate this. I was even a few years ago, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I lived in a new city. I didn't have any friends. I'd just gone through a really harsh breakup. And I was trying to figure myself out. And I was white knuckling it. I was going it alone. And one day my roommate sat me down and said, look, I'm going to be leaving here soon, and I need to know that you're going to be okay. And here's what I'm seeing. And what she said to me was, I think it would be really good for you to put yourself out there a bit and find something in this area that you can do that's going to give you a sense of stability. Because right now, you're working at a job you don't like, you don't have anyone here that you're involved with, and you have a home that you bought, but that's really not enough to keep you in this area. You've got to find a way to start building your life. And that was some wise advice. So I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, what is it that I want to do? And I decided to pick something that I had always wanted to do, but I'd kept myself from doing, and that was getting involved in martial arts. So I called around to a few different places. Only one person picked up the phone, and that was my Sifu. And we talked, and I asked if I could come to a class, and he said, sure, you can come. It's free. I drove over that night. I sat in the parking lot and sat in the parking lot for about a good 5 minutes debating whether or not I should even go in. Part of me was like, I should just go out and dash. I was doing DoorDash at the time. I was like, no, I'm going to make myself do the hard thing. I'm going to make myself go in there and connect with other people. That was the hard thing. That was the thing I was feeling anxiety around at the time because I didn't feel very likable. I didn't feel like anyone would want to connect with me. So I got out of the car. I walked in. I quietly introduced myself to one of the people there. Before I knew it, I had a couple other people come join and start talking with me. And that night, I did a Qigong class. And afterwards, I went over to the house of one of the men who I met there, and we started talking, and I got to know him a bit. And it was hard. It was hard the entire time. It wasn't hard because I was learning something new. That wasn't what was hard. What was hard was that I was pushing myself out there, and my anxiety was saying, stay in, stay safe. But my anxiety wasn't keeping me safe. My anxiety was locking me away from living a better and richer and more fulfilling life. And this is what I see happen with a lot of men. They keep themselves locked in to a smaller life because it seems like it's safe. But there's all these different things that they want to do. These activities and things that they may be longing for, and they may not even fully know what they want. I mean, a lot of times this is a good example of like the nice guy. The nice guy doesn't know what he wants. And because he doesn't know what he wants, he's keeping himself from living the fullest life he could possibly have. Now, if you're a guy who's watching this and you can resonate with that, brother, I get it. And as you can clearly see, I've been there, done that. And I'm not going to tell you that just because I went that one night that suddenly things got easier. It took repeated reps. I had to be willing to go out and connect with other people and do activities where I was choosing myself, really. I had to be willing to face my anxiety and put myself out there into the world. And it was scary. There were times where I really just wanted to lock myself away. But the more I did it, the easier it got and the better my life became. And what I realized was that, yeah, I could numb myself. I could watch porn. I could play video games. I could drink alcohol or smoke weed or do any of the other things. But that wasn't going to help me connect with other people. It wasn't going to help me do the activities I really wanted to do. It wasn't going to help me live a rich and full and powerful life. None of that was going to happen until I was willing to put myself out there and do something different and new. So share that with you because the fact of the matter is, that's the key. You've got to be willing to do hard things. And hard things doesn't necessarily mean like, like going and lifting a rock off the ground, a boulder off the ground or doing a ton of push-ups. I mean, that can be hard stuff and those are good things to do. Doing the hard things can mean I'm going to lean into the edge that is available to me here that I'm not comfortable with. The edge that says, hey, I'm going to invite myself into some growth and change, even though it's not easy. This is part of what we need as men need. We need to be challenged. And part of that is that we need to challenge ourselves. So being willing to do this hard thing is part of what's going to help you build emotional and mental resilience. It's going to help you learn the fundamental skills that you need to be able to show up in the world in a different way than you were before. And sometimes it is going to be scary. There are going to be moments where you're going to feel that fear, because fear is what's underneath anxiety, come up, and it's going to come out as anxiety. And the answer is, I can either choose to keep myself from fully facing this and keep myself small. It'll feel safe. Or I can choose to step up, take a chance on myself, and be willing to go out there into the world knowing that I have the necessary resilience, or that I can build that resilience through repeated reps. And this is part of what men's work is. Men need to be challenged. They need to challenge themselves, and they need to be challenged by other men. Men that can handle their intensity. And this is what I do for my clients. My clients come to me, a lot of times what they really need to know is, can he handle my intensity? The answer is yes, because they've spent so long pushing that down and not facing it. And what they've really needed to do is have somebody be the initiator. Men's work is initiation work. That is part of what the men's mysteries is. And so one of the mysteries is being willing to face your edge, being willing to lean in to what is difficult And a lot of times, what's difficult isn't the actual task, it's the anxiety that's there that says, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you won't be able to succeed. Guess what? That anxiety is wrong. You are good enough, you have what it takes. And sometimes what you need to do is challenge yourself. Sometimes you need to be pushed by another man in a way where it's not it's not touching on all the narratives you learned as a kid. Instead, it's helping you lean into mature, healthy masculinity. And really, that's what we want. We want mature, healthy masculinity. So if you're watching this and it's landing with you, I'd love for you to share a comment about a time where you faced something hard in your life, and you did the hard thing, and how that helped you build emotional and mental resilience. Share that here so that other people watching this can see that they aren't alone and that it is possible to do this. I shared my story and I'd love to read yours. Thanks for watching, and go out there and be willing to do the hard thing. You've got this.